Hey, yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video, and today we're going to be doing, of course, my comic load for the week. But before we go into this, I just want to say sorry that I haven't been on YouTube or posting any videos this past week and a half. I have a very good reason. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would know, or even on Facebook, some of you guys follow me on Facebook, you would know that my wife gave birth to our second son and our second child. So, two sons. So it's been a incredibly amazing, joyous time right now in our household. Mama and baby are fine. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's doing good. So if you can tell, I'm probably not going to be my A game with this video because I've gotten so little sleep. I've gotten 3-hour patches of sleep at a time. It's been rough. I've been catching up on a bit of my Netflix show. I finally finished Frasier, which I love that show. Finally finished Frasier, and I watched Digimon Try, which I'm going to do a video about and talk about that show because Digimon has a special place in my heart. But we're not talking about Digimon right now. We're talking about my son. He was born this past Tuesday, and since then, me and my wife have just been bonding with him, taking care of him, having family time with him and my son. So yeah, I hope you guys can understand. I've had no time to even consider putting a video up. I haven't really had time to read comics. I still have like last week's comics to read. Not just this week or this previous week, but the week beforehand. I haven't even read Fantastic Four #1 or read Green Arrow or read I don't know, a ton of them. So I'm a bit behind, which I'll catch up probably tomorrow because I'm on maternity leave, paternity leave, whatever you want to call it. See, not quite with it. It's paternity leave for me. It's maternity leave for her. But she doesn't work. I work. So I go back to work on Wednesday. So I have the next, 2.5 days to spend time with them and really kind of make sure my wife is in a good position and she's healthy and all healed up and ready to go to allow me to go back to work. Now, and thank you to everyone who does follow me on Instagram or on Facebook that said congratulations and all the best wishes and all that. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Family, especially now as I grow older, becomes the most important thing to me. It sounds silly when you're a teenager and when you're a young adult, you're very selfish. It's all about you. But as you get older, once you start building those ties, those bonds, once you have children of your own, you start to realize how important family is. And not only family for your immediate family, your children or your wife or your husband or your spouse or whatever the case may be, but retroactively in your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. You start to retroactively realize how important those binds and those ties are in those relationships. So family is the most important thing to me. It comes first, and we're incredibly happy to have my son in our family. So second reason that I have not been on is because Boston Comic Con came along. So that was this past weekend, and woof, what a con. Boston Comic Con is always my favorite con to do, and it's not necessarily the biggest or most prestigious or even the most well done con, although it's handled fairly well. But it is my favorite for a few reasons. One is obviously convenience. I live in Massachusetts, so Boston was literally a 10-minute drive to get to Boston. Park in a parking lot that I know about that no one else does. That for the weekend was pretty much free. I only had to pay one day, but park in that parking lot and walk 10 minutes to get to the place. It's super easy. Don't have to spend money on, a hotel, board, room. I don't have to spend ridiculous money for parking. I don't have to drive a ridiculous amount of time. It's great. And I'm always first in line, which is great. But the thing about Boston Comic Con that I really like is it's really geared towards the creators, really the artists, really is geared towards the writers, getting to meet them, to talk to them. It's like meeting celebrities to me. Just to show, just suppose, Rhode Island Comic Con, which is a vastly larger Comic Con at this point, is geared towards all the movie stars. And while that's all well and good, I have no interest in that. I want to meet my comic book creators. So, Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I really like it. That, and there's a lot of good artists in the artist alleyway. I've gotten 4 commissions done, as you guys know if you follow me on Instagram or if you know my Facebook account. I love getting commissions done of my main D&D characters, Angelus Karan and Lacey Karan, who I've been playing with forever. So I always get commissions of them. So I got 2 commissions done of Angelus and 2 commissions done of Lacey. 1 commission each from the same artist, which I post on Instagram. One of the commissions I just got in today, which I'll be posting a little bit later, and then one that won't be done for another 2 weeks. But it's always great to get commissions done too. But I've yabbled on and on. I've got to meet a good chunk of comic book creators. I didn't necessarily meet all that I wanted to, and I could have met more, but a lot of the people I've already met. The biggest draw this year was Jim Lee, which, as you guys know, is my favorite comic book artist of all time. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, everything Jim Lee's art. I think he's fantastic. But I've been fortunate enough to meet Jim Lee 2 times prior. The first time I got my Batman Hush volume signed, which is my pound for pound my favorite Batman story, so I got those signed. And then the second time I got Batman New 52 variant issue number 2, which is a great issue of him like having his hand out on a gargoyle. Justice League issue number 1 from New 52. Batman 608, whichever one starts the Hush series, where he's like on the grapple rope and he has his leg kicked out. Suicide Squad issue number 1 and DC Metal issue number 2 variant cover where he's on the jet ski or the snow ski. So I've gotten a lot signed from him. So everything else is going forward is gravy. I got the big ones I wanted signed. A Hush issue, my favorite cover, which is issue number 2, Batman New 52, and then the Justice League cover, which is a must-have. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff I got signed by everyone. Really like that with Jim Lee. It kind of stinks you had to get a package in order to get some signatures from him. He did do public signatures, but not many. It was 1 signature per person for a public signature. But if you get the Jim Lee experience, you get 3 signed autographs, and you can CGC them if you want. I don't. I'm not going to sell my autographs. I keep them as sentimental reasons. But you get 3 autographs. You get 1 large lithogram, which if I can move, is hanging up there, which is signed. Boom. So you get 1 large lithogram signed by Jim Lee. Now I got to readjust my camera. There we go. And then you get a selfie with him, and you also get guaranteed seating at his conference panel. Yeah, 3 hours sleep. Which I lucked out. I got to sit front row, which was great. I didn't get any of his sketches, but I loved his panel. It was really nice. It was his birthday, too, so I got some birthday cake. And overall, Jim Lee is always a fun experience to have. With him, I got my New 52 Justice League Batman figure signed. This is probably pound for pound my favorite Batman costume, and pound for pound my favorite Batman figure. If you haven't noticed, I tend to like it a lot. This is the New 52 area, or the modern Batman stuff. I love this figure. I'm just going to put it back up here. Boom. So that was number 1. Number 2 is I got the Justice League variant cover issue number 1 done by him. Gorgeous cover. When Scott Snyder comes around, which I'm surprised he wasn't there, but when Scott Snyder comes around, I'll have him sign it up. And then I got the Batman issue 50 wedding issue signed by him. And I also had it signed by Tom King. And I was going to get more signed by Tom King, but I only got 1 issue signed by Tom King, and that was it. So I have the cover artist, and I have him. I could have got many of the different artists that was in there, but that's too much of a project. I'm happy with what I had. But Jim Lee was nice as always. We talked briefly. I talked about how much I love the New 52 costume. He's like, yeah, I really thought it was a good idea. I thought it was practical. I don't know why we changed it. I'm like, yeah, I hear you're changing it to something else. So I hope he brings it back because I love that costume so much. Got to meet Joshua Williams again. And had a great conversation with him. Talked about how much I love Barry and the Flash. I got this issue number 50. one of the Flash, which is probably one of my favorite Flash covers. Got to really talk to him about how much he's had such a great run on Flash and how much I love the character. Tameshi was there. Got to meet a guy. Got Super Sons issue #1 signed by him, and then I got Batman Darkseid War issue #1 or one shot signed by him, which was great. And then rounding things off, hold on, just putting these back here, is Sam Humphries was there, who's currently writing Harley Quinn. So I got this issue, which I love the cover for, and I think this is his first issue where he's jumping on. But yeah, really, really cool cover. And he was a really cool cat to talk to. I'm happy to say that everyone at the con that I got to meet, for them, were genuine, nice, they took their time. I particularly picked Tom King's brain for a while. I spoke my mind a bit about the Batman wedding. I was talking to him so long, the guy's just like, hey, you gotta move the line a lot. Not Tom King, his bodyguard or whatever. You gotta move the line a while. I'm like, oh, okay. And then, like, Tom would not stop talking. It wasn't even me. Tom was continued talking. So finally I said, hey, listen, thank you for everything. I'm gonna go, so I guess I'm holding up the line, but I appreciated everything. Peace out. Which was pretty cool. And yeah, and I mean, I was going to try to get Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti. I could have, but I was too busy doing a lot of other stuff. Bought a lot of things. Bought the new Marvel Legends Wolverine figure. Bought the Funko Pop Red Ranger Dragon Shield pop, which was cool. What else did I buy? I bought something for my mother-in-law. Yeah, that's it. But that's enough about Comic-Con. I've talked on about 10 minutes about it. Let's talk about our comics this week, and we're going to start where we always start, with a little bit of Batman in our life, with Batman issue number 53. Of course, getting both covers here. Long and short of it is this is Bruce deconstructing how Batman is not perfect, how he is not infallible, that he can make mistakes, and really kind of him reflecting about himself as Batman, but also reflecting about the trauma he went through with Selena breaking up with him. And when I go like this, I'm not saying anything light about it. That's what I want. I want Bruce to talk about the hurt he has, because it's such a big thing to happen to him. And it's so crazy that at the end of the issue, he tells Alfred, get rid of the costume, which I'm like, oh, thank God, get rid of the Rebirth costume. I hate the Rebirth costume. I hate how the cape parts here instead of parts here, because then he can't, like, cloak himself. The purple I didn't really care about. The yellow thing I didn't care about. The yellow trim. The cape was just so terrible. It just looks so bad. Some artists did it okay, but ugh. Even my boy Jim Lee, I'm just like, but yeah, he goes back to, he says, I'm going to go back to basics, and he wears, for lack of a better term, which every creator has called it this, the Hush costume, which is basically, where's my Hush figure? Boom. Which is basically what he wore during Hush. Minus it being black instead of blue, you got the traditional black bat symbol, you have the trunks back, you have the belt, short pointed ears, and yeah, back to basically the Hush costume. Although it was around before Hush, but Jim Lee kind of modernized it. So yeah, that's the basic gist of the story. It's a good issue. I kind of like how it ends. The conclusion for Mr. Freeze, I would have liked to see more of how that came about, other than Bruce just pontificating. I don't think Bruce's speech would have been enough to kind of convince the jury all the way around, but hey, it's comic books, it doesn't have to make sense. And again, it's nice to see that he's still hurting with Selena. It's also good to see that we got rid of that god-awful Rebirth costume. I'm sorry if you like it. I know some people do. But, like, I wish we would have got the new 52 costume back, as I just was talking about how much I love it, but I'm cool with the Hush costume being back. Which is funny, because I was talking to a couple creators, I'm going to take a side step here, about the continuity of Batman's costumes now, because of Doomsday Clock and Rebirth. And because before, when New 52 happened, it was just the 0-year costume and the New 52 costume onwards. But in talking to a couple people, I've gotten this information. And not just that, but also tweets. Number one is Jeff Johns confirmed to me that Justice League Origins, the costume, the characters, the lineup, the story, is still the canon Justice League Origin, right? So if that means that's canon, he's wearing his new 52 costume. Which, if we see in the War of Joker and Riddles, he's wearing, again, his new 52 costume. Right? A little bit different, but still his new 52 costume. We also see in several flashbacks that he's wearing his new 52 costume, whether it be Red Hood and the Outlaws, whether it be Batman's own individual comic, or whether it be one of the side comics, right? Or even Justice League flashbacks. We know that the New 52 costume existed then. We also know that the Rebirth costume existed. The Zero-Year costume existed back in the day too. Now, in talking to Tom King, he says he doesn't have an exact idea of what costume existed when, but what he can say is this: is that in his mind, the classic Hush costume existed all the way up until Scott Snyder's run. So when Scott Snyder's run started, that's when Bruce donned the new 52 costume again, apparently. And then Scott Snyder even said that the way that Rebirth works, Zero Year and Year One both exist at the same time. So that's something to consider too. And the Zero Year costume is really only privy to Zero Year. So if you allow yourself a little bit of confusion on why Bruce would do this, basically he's worn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so costumes, right? I had to play with this in my head because it was bothering me. Bruce starts off with the Year One costume, or the Zero Year costume, right? That's his first costume. Then he transitions over to the Year One costume. He wears that for the rest of the Year One. When Year Two hits, he joins the Justice League. He takes in Robin, Dick Grayson, and he dons the New 52 costume, or the Jim Lee version of the New 52 costume, which is a little bit more armored, lacks underwear, right? He wears this up until, or sometime past, Jason Todd's death. He then incorporates the yellow oval costume with the blue, and eventually transitions over to the Hush costume, right? So that accounts for a couple of the flashbacks in Batman, as well as talking about how he got back to basics. And then from there, after he came back from Return of Bruce Wayne, he dons the Batman Incorporated costume, and eventually when he becomes Batman full-time again, he redons the New 52 costume. It kind of makes sense, too, because if you look at the artistic styles of Jim Lee versus everyone else that does the New 52 costume, Jim does it in more of a body armor style. Like, if I take the figure here, right, and my camera's not that good, but if you look at it, it's very much body armor, right? You can see kind of a chainmail mesh in between the arms and the armpit. But if you go to another artist, right, if we take Greg Capullo, who's probably drawn the costume the most, the only thing he keeps, other than the basic design, is the lines up there. He doesn't make an armor. You actually see when Batman puts on the costume with Greg Capullo, that is like a shirt, not a body armor. So that kind of makes sense, right? But that's just something that was in my head. I went off on a tangent. Batgirl issue number 25. This is the anniversary issue for Batgirl. Got a couple of stories going on in here. The only one that really I cared about was the Dick Grayson story, which was nice, and possibly something could be happening with Dick and her later. But just a couple stories in here. The last one I didn't care about all that much. The grotesque one was okay. The first one was okay, but really the Dick Grayson story, it's the key one here. Great cover art, overall good art. If you're a Batgirl fan, pick it up. If not, then you don't really need to jump into it. Batwoman issue number 18. This is the end of an era for Batwoman. Marguerite Bennett and is jumping off the book as the primary writer, which is sad because I think she's done the best with Batwoman. This is basically continuing the ticking clock king. is clocking. See, again, 3 hours sleep. Basically, Kate and Renee Montoya going off and doing their own thing and taking him down. This is a beautifully well done issue and a nice send off. Not a huge villain, but for the most part, it does a really good job for what it does, summing up Batwoman, her life, and where she stands, and possible future, right? She's probably going to get screwed like, Kitty Pryde and Batman was, but, I mean, hey, we'll see what happens. And I'm talking about marriage stuff, because she has been screwed. Remember, she was engaged to Maggie Sawyer, and that didn't go through. But this is a fantastic issue. Even if you're not a fan of Batwoman, I pick up the last 2 issues to enjoy it. Harley Quinn, issue number 48. So Harley is back from Apocalypse, and basically her place is getting demolished, and Harley has to go out and either make some money or bang some heads to get everything back in order. What I enjoy about Humphrey's Harley, a little bit more than Connor's and Palmiotti's, is that it's a little bit more grounded. It's still kooky and insane, like she has an eclectic cast, but it feels a little bit more grounded and connected. It makes references to like Justice League versus Suicide Squad and DC Metal and various different other stuff. So decent issue and a good jumping on point for Harley Quinn. Damage, issue number 8. So this issue was badass for one reason. One of the most dangerous unknown characters in the DC universe comes in to help out Damage, the Unknown Soldier. Now, the Unknown Soldier, before the New 52, was kind of just a soldier who was really well trained and kind of a badass, but in the New 52, they made him dangerously dangerous. Yeah, 3 hours sleep. Didn't work out. Basically, he has to work. He's trying to help Damage out because he says it very well. He says, "Listen, I'm a soldier. I understand it. Like at the end of the day, we follow orders and we kill. But at the very least, you should know what your orders are. You don't know what your orders are. You have a right to know that." Good issue. Damage has been very consistent as a 3-star book. And if you enjoy the concept of the Hulk in the DC universe, only run by the government, then yeah, pick it up. I enjoyed it. Weapon X, issue number 22. So this is kind of the start of the new Weapon X team. You got Mystique on there, Sabretooth, Domino, Lady Deathstrike, and Omega Red. And basically it's run by Sabretooth. And fun fact, when I was a kid, I always thought Sabretooth was kind of a pussy. Kind of whatever, one-and-done henchman. Because he was always kind of portrayed that in the media outside the comics. Again, I didn't read Marvel comics that much when I was a kid. I read DC, not so much Marvel. I kind of experienced Marvel more through like the cartoon and the video games, the movie. So I didn't always have the best impression of Sabretooth. But over the past few years of reading X-Men comics and really getting exposed to Victor Creed, he's turning out to be one of my favorite, just like, badasses. He's really cool. And I love this Weapon X team. It's good that got rid of Old Man Logan because it kind of can do its own thing on its own. This is the kind of a start of a new era for the team, and really a lot of action, a lot of fun, a lot of quips, and a surprise visit from a fan favorite Marvel character at the end. So I would recommend picking up. This is a good jumping on point. Extermination, issue number 1. This is the crossover event for X-Men, which basically focuses on X-Men getting killed. I think someone's going around and killing X-Men. He kills 2 X-Men in particular, one of which I didn't know exists because it's part of the X-Men Blue Team. I hope I didn't spoil anything. And another one that he did kill that is pretty shocking, although I don't know if that person is going to stay dead for obvious reasons at the end of the book. Love the twists and turns in it. Didn't really care that it was mostly X-Men Blue, because I don't care about the X-Men Blue team. I like the red and the gold team. That's just me, and gold is no longer around. So I guess red is my bread and butter. But yeah, it was okay. If you're an X-Men fan of everything X-Men, I think you'll like it. I want to know more of where this is going. So I'm kind of lukewarm on it. Aquaman, issue number 39. This is continuing the Sunken Atlantis story, I think it's called. It's the crossover with the Suicide Squad, and basically it's that. Aquaman versus Suicide Squad will also mirror dealing with being Queen. The previous issue with Suicide Squad did a very good job setting up this story, and this continues the fantastic writing that Abbott has been doing with Aquaman, from the political aspect to the world aspect and to just punching people in the face aspect. Some great art in this too. This is a definite recommend pickup. And then Justice League issue number 6. So we get a little bit more of what's going on, what Lex Luthor is out for, and why he's using Superman and using Martian Manhunter to go to the I can't. 3 hours to sleep. But basically trying to gain all the powers of the inverse 7 elemental powers of the world, like the Still Force and the Ultraviolet Lanterns and the Strength Force and all that stuff. Great art. I think the story was a little bit more coherent here. It was a little bit more balanced with the characters too. Batman gets fucked up pretty bad. Well, not before beating the shit out of a couple of people, but he gets fucked up pretty bad. And yeah, it was a pretty decent issue. I mean, Justice League has been great. Its story could be a little bit more clear, but it's been pretty great. On a whole, pick of the week definitely goes to Batwoman, issue number 18. This was just such a great issue and so charming. And Batwoman, I really think, has become one of the most breakout characters on the DL in comic books in a long time. For the past 20 years almost. She came out in 2016, so maybe 10 years, 11, let's say 15. The past 15 years, she's become one of the most intriguing, interesting, and well-developed characters. And Marguerite Bennett is part of that and giving her a lot more depth and layers than, there's some depth, but depth and layers that she definitely could have used. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Ruby Rose also jumping on and playing the character in live action. Like, she shut down her account because of so much hate. Like, why? Like, I'm a little confused by that. But couple things real quickly before we go. First of all, Patreon, right? I have not been able to post on Patreon. The reason why I have not been able to post on Patreon is because, well, my wife just had another kid. So for the Patreon backers, I will be posting a couple things. I have a movie review that I'm going to be posting up, the Death of Superman movie review. I'm also going to be posting up a review of Digimon Try, which I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. So I got those things posted up. As for things outside my Comic Club video, I'm going to be reviewing some X-Men stuff. I got Mutant Genesis, so some Batman books I'm going to be reviewing, and then I'm also going to be posting up my DC, getting to know DC character coming up. So those things are going to be coming. I do want to do another live video for you guys, so I'm thinking about doing a live video this week. Probably, I think a good day to do it would be, let's do it next Sunday. I'm working, but I gotta work at 12, and I don't think we have anything planned. So let's do it next Sunday. Let's do it at 8 o'clock. So next Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, we'll do a live video. And that video is going to be a question and answer video. So if you guys have any questions, please post it up. I will also be posting again in Patreon, Twitter, and what is it called? Instagram, to remind you guys of that. But yeah, I want to do another live video because that was so fun last time. It really was. So let's do it next Sunday. So a week from now, we'll do a live video, 8 o'clock Eastern. Couple other things real quickly. As always, a thank you to my patrons, my $5 backers, which would be Michael Bennett, who is the newest patron. Thank you very much. OKayFabe, Connor from OKayFabe, Paul the Gay Comic Book Geek, and lastly, Stanley Coppola from the Bat Brand. I appreciate everyone for backing me, and it's allowed me a little bit more freedom on buying some different comics, and also it allows me to do some different kind of videos, so I really do enjoy that. And that's about it that I have to say. I beat Octopath Traveler too, by the way, which is an amazing game. Not perfect. It has a few faults, but it is amazing. So I got to play and beat Octopath Traveler, so I was really pumped about that. I'm playing a lot of Fortnite. I'm going to be jumping on to Mega Man X series, playing those because I never really got into them back in the 90s. I was playing other stuff, so I'm looking forward to playing the X series. And yeah, I think that's really all I have to say right now. Again, sorry about the informality of this video just being so sleep deprived. I'm surprised I even got this out. Like, I was going to talk about I was going to thank the patrons at the beginning, and I was going to talk about the live video at the beginning, but I didn't, and I did it at the end, so I hope enough people, like, usually on YouTube, when I get to the end of the videos, I just kind of stop watching them. Time is money. I can move on to something else. So probably half of you guys probably already jumped off the video. So yeah, and X Valis, I do want to do that debate about Jason versus Tommy at some point, man. I appreciate your patience on that. Life has been cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as you guys can see. But yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions on what you would want to talk about in a live video, please post them. I would love to hear. But I'm going to aim for mostly a Q&A video, and I'm going to make it super cash. Super cash. I'm going to be sitting down during it. Like I usually stand, I'm going to sit down. And yeah, and all that jazz. So I'm going to end the video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.